Hello, I'm Todd Hall, President and CEO of TrueLiant. As we mark our 70th anniversary in 2022, we reflect on a rich history that would not be possible without the support of the great city of Winston-Salem. From our humble beginnings in 1952 to the present, where we will soon serve over 300,000 members, hire our 1,000th employee, and exceed $4 billion in assets, to a future poised for continued growth. I am proud of the work we are doing together. TrueLiant is grateful for and remains committed to Winston-Salem and all of Forsyth County.
Welcome to the Greater Conversations podcast. I'm Deetra Miller, the Director of Member Relations and Engagement at Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. We'll use this platform to showcase our local businesses, our community, and their stories. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the show. I am super excited today to introduce you to Brittany Todd. She is the founder and CEO of Be Balanced Counseling and Wellness here in Winston-Salem. Hi, Brittany.
Hi. Thanks for having me.
You're very welcome. I'm so excited to have you here because as I was reading your bio, I was sharing with you earlier, I was just amazed at everything that you've accomplished over your life and how no matter who's listening today, there is something about your life that is just relatable to everybody. Let me just stop. Let me let you talk about yourself today. That's what I'm going to do. But I do want to start with you telling everyone listening what Be Balanced Counseling and Wellness is.
So Be Balanced Counseling and Wellness is everything. I'm a firm believer that mental health does not stop and or start with a counseling session, which is funny because I am a licensed counselor. I love counseling, but it's just a small percentage of what it takes to be the best version of ourselves. So Be Balanced Counseling and Wellness is a combination of everything that comes together to make us the best version of ourselves. If I could have it all under one roof, I would. But one of our primary missions is comprehensive care and reaching out into our community and linking our clients up with resources that will support and benefit them, whether that's primary care or pediatrician or psychiatrist or psychologist or a stylist, like anything under the sun. And so that's what we're about. And we provide counseling from individual, family, couples, adolescent, all ages, all forms of life. We don't do counseling for our dogs, but that is, somebody asked me that the other day, and I was like, you know what? My dog needs counseling, so that's the only thing we're missing. But we do it all, and if we can't, I have absolutely no problem, referring to somebody or something that's going to benefit you somewhere else. But
wow.
We're offering massage therapy. We have a dietitian, and we have an energy healer on staff now, and we're hiring in multiple forms within our community to support as much as we possibly can.
That's amazing. Everything is almost under one roof except the little doggy counseling.
Except for that, yes. And I have a very stressed out dachshund.
Oh my gosh.
I know.
Aren't all dachshunds stressed out dachshunds?
So I've heard. Yes. He this year wanted to wear his Halloween costume like all the time because I think he felt more secure. So he's invested in a few Thunder shirts at the moment, but
that sounds like fun.
Yeah.
It really does. Well, let's talk a little bit about you, Brittany. You grew up in Winston-Salem. Yes. You went to college in Florida. And in between your high school career as a student athlete, by the way, you were amazing at swimming from what I understand.
Yes.
And that continued through college. I want you to talk a little bit about what that career was like and something special that happened with you during that swimming athleticism of yours. And then let's go into how you went from your college career into psychology and that degree.
Okay. Wow. This is a lot to cover, so we're going to do Cliff Notes because we could be here for hours. So I was a swimmer growing up. I swam for the Winston-Salem YMCA, which was WSY, which is what Tide is in our town now. It was a huge love of mine. I had the best time. It was the most amazing outlet. I loved swimming with all of my heart, but it also was me. And I'm not entirely sure when it became an unhealthy relationship. I can't pinpoint that, but it was everything that I did. I introduced myself as, hey, I'm Brittany the swimmer. And I just knew that I always had something was different about me. I could train more than most people I knew, or I did train more. It was kind of a bit of an obsession, a hyperfixation. I pushed myself to a limit that was praised, but might not have been the healthiest in hindsight. But when I was in high school, it was so important to me, and I loved it. And it got me to the University of Florida, and I went on a full scholarship. And Florida is a prestigious school for swimming, and I was so excited. And I mean, it's Florida, right? Like,
right.
I was palm trees, and I just think it's going to be great. And it was. They have a very strenuous training program, which was part of the reason I chose that, because I felt so compelled to always be training. I never was capable of sitting still, or it was like an all or nothing kind of thing, and this was just an all the time. There's so many components to just where I was mentally, emotionally, but got to college and continued that probably overtraining mentality that I had. And after Olympic trials in 2004, was having some shoulder pain. And when we started back for that fall season in October, I found out that I had a tear in my labrum, and that had to be fixed in my right shoulder. And, one thing led to another, and it was all rolled into eating disorders and overtraining and depression and anxiety and avoidance and not feeling fulfilled in any aspect of my life. So long story short, about a year and a half later, after I had come back from that surgery, I injured myself again, and that was the end of my swimming career.
Oh, wow.
As I knew it. So, I swam in Olympic trials in 2000, my freshman year at Reynolds High School, and that was just such a great experience and so many positive memories. In 2004, when I was in college, that was a great experience, so many positive memories. Swimming made me, I like to say, a lot of who I am today. And it still is a huge love of mine. I don't swim anymore, but my daughter just started at Tide, and that's exciting.
Nice.
But she's so great at so many things. But, it taught me that I'm different. And through the mental health components that were associated with the whys of, how much I pushed myself and not taking care of myself and things like that, it surfaced that I was suffering from what they diagnosed at the time, bipolar disorder, which I totally wanted nothing to do with. It's like, no, I'm not. You guys are full of this, and didn't listen and had to stop swimming. But all that energy and that hyperfixation had to go somewhere, and it couldn't go into swimming, so it went into partying. And I was so good at partying, y'all. I was so good.
Seems like you would be.
Yeah, I wrote the book on that. I could do it all day and all night. It was really cool. Yeah, but it didn't make me feel good, as it turned out, and some negative relationship pieces that went into that, and all of the things, and so I luckily graduated. With a degree in criminology and psychology, and emphasis in art history, which was just fun. And had to come back here. I got back here, and I was living in a condo in College Village, and my stepfather was Richard Smiley. If anybody knows him, he owned Smiley Fitness by Design in the heart of Buena Vista, right there by Diamondback Grill. He passed away of a brain tumor in 2016, but I worked for him out of college and lived on my own. But so, that was such a great experience too, and did a yoga certification and a personal training certification, and really dove into the field of wellness from an angle that I hadn't really looked at before. So that was supportive at that time, and I got a bit healthier, probably not as healthy as I needed to be yet, but ended up marrying my high school sweetheart after years of being separated and people in between. And then we got married and moved to Pawleys Island, South Carolina, and I coached some swimming while I was there, which I did enjoy, but again, just wasn't my path. And I opened a wellness center there and dove into all the wellness that I had been practicing here with the yoga and personal training, and did some nutrition coaching then as well, life coaching, and that took me to grad school, and then 2 master's degrees later and lots of awesome fun memories from Pawleys Island. We moved back here when Richard got sick, and that's kind of how I got to where I am now. I finished my practicum and internship and associates of my license here in North Carolina with Michael Hayes from Pathways Counseling, which, if you know, he's just hung one of my moons, right? And then I branched out on my own in 2018, and here we are.
Wow, what an amazing journey.
Thank you.
So you're using all of those life experiences and all of the education to help your clients now.
Yes. I mean, I'm not going to lie. Like, I think I selfishly went into the field of psychology and all of that to figure out what in the world was wrong with me. I just couldn't. Doctors had thrown some medication here and there, which doesn't work when you're partying a lot. It's hard to be consistent there. So there's...
Because it's kind of the opposite effect at that point, I think.
Exactly, yes.
So, well, this did this. Maybe if I take more.
Totally opposite effect.
A little bit of a roller coaster, to say the least.
Well, and when people go into mental health, my wife has a master's degree in counseling from UNCG and never went into the field. But you can't necessarily fix yourself in that situation.
Yeah.
I mean, you might have some insight on
Doctor
why this...
healed thyself.
Yeah, you might have some insight on how this works, but you really can't fix yourself.
Yeah.
She never had any problem like that, but she was married to someone who had issues that, not me, her first marriage. I have a whole different set of issues. As she likes to say, I'm a challenge. But yeah, so even doing that, she couldn't fix stupid. Yeah, it was more than just stupid. It was stupid in many ways. But yeah, Dr. Heal Thyself is exactly right.
Yeah.
Wow.
But like I said, you're doing that. Probably you gained insight.
Oh, absolutely. And accountability,
Yeah.
And feel completely, validated in all of my experiences, which was something that I just didn't have at the time. I have an amazing team of people who support me, and clinically, personally, professionally, and that's how I'm sitting here happily, and also have an awesome family. But I went into it wanting to figure out what was going on, and there's been a lot of things that have surfaced through bipolar disorder, ADHD, dyslexia, dysgraphia, all of these things that are now pretty normal vocabulary that weren't so much back then. Not that I'm 38 years old, but you know what I mean. Things have really changed and evolved, luckily. And so I really, my primary drive in building counseling and wellness is so that I can help people not experience some of the things that I had to experience, and some of the pain that I did experience, and some of the risks that I took and stuff like that. I consider myself very lucky to be here. And I don't have any regrets. I'm glad I experienced what I experienced so I can help others. And that definitely gives every day its own unique purpose. But I did learn that there's no one road. There's no one fix. It is everything all the time in your own individual equation.
I like that.
One of my favorite sayings that I feel I made up, but we are our experiences.
Yes.
So everything that we are because of the things we did right in the things we did wrong.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
That's how we learn.
Exactly.
I've learned a lot.
So the name itself, Be Balanced. I'm going to assume the B is Brittany.
That's how it started.
Yeah.
Now, Balanced is a funny story because one of my best friends who lives in Park City, Utah, and she and I were best friends all through college, and her mom even kind of took me in, and they just watched this constant slow and fast train wreck that, I was, in the most loving and accepting way, and but years later, when we were in Pawleys Island, and I was coaching a swim team, and I was very unhappy and kind of felt pulled in a bunch of different directions, but didn't have any direction, and was burning my candle, true to form. I'm not gonna lie, I still do this, but was burning it at every end. Like I'd found new ends of the candle. And she was like, we were on the phone, and she was like, Brittany, you have got to find some semblance of balance. And she was like, so that's gonna be your word. You are gonna find your balance. You have got to be balanced. And there's just some things that people say that you never let go of.
Yes.
So that was it. And that was in, we had gotten married that year. So it was November of 2010. And then it was March of 2011 that I founded my first wellness center in Pawleys Island. And it was called Be Balanced Wellness Center then. And so when I moved back to Winston and refounded it and kind of reformulated the equation of wellness, with a mental health focus, it was Be Balanced.
I love it.
Yeah, thank you.
Talk about the difference between counseling and wellness.
Oh, there's not a huge difference. I think that any hairstylist, any esthetician, any massage therapist, any personal trainer will tell you that they feel as though they do a bit of counseling, and they do. Bartenders, yeah, absolutely. They all do a bit of counseling because it is all wellness. And which is, there's always enough to go around, and but counseling is more of a clinical sense in terms of like what we do at Be Balanced. And we offer counseling, we offer life coaching, and the difference is counseling has a clinical focus and not necessarily diagnostic, because as I'm sure you can understand, I hate labels and I hate like being defined by a diagnosis. But as a clinical counselor, we approach things through the lens that will benefit the client. So we do kind of, treat a lot of bipolar, anxiety, depression, any mood disorder, ADHD, stuff like that. So that would be the difference. Life coaching is more of like time management and structuring your day to be successful, and relationship skills and stuff like that. Academic counseling, career counseling also sort of falls in that category. It's a bit gray.
Okay.
So yeah, but it's ultimately in the field of like, it's all wellness.
It's all wellness.
It's so hard to be well. I mean, I wish we all just
days,
woke
right?
up. Yes, absolutely. And that's part of the reason we're launching Be Well Winston, which is
what's that?
It's my new nonprofit mission here. And maybe it will be bigger than just Be Well Winston, but Be Well Winston is our pilot, and it is all about bringing together wellness practitioners, knowing that is so broad. But bringing together local wellness practitioners. And so we've had a couple events this past year just to kind of be like, just to get it started. But all the proceeds of each of our events go to a mental health foundation.
Oh, that's
and it's just a way to increase awareness, advocacy, and also help people understand that definition of wellness is so huge. I mean, artists, like art brings wellness. Like having clothing stores. I don't know about you guys, but like every like new outfits, like
shopping therapy.
Yes, absolutely.
It's a thing. It really, truly is. And so, again, like we can't have that all under one roof. Like there's not a building big enough, if you ask me. So that was our way to figure out how to unite everyone as much as possible, and also network and support one another.
Wow. Oh my gosh, I'm loving this. So, unfortunately, we're running out of time. What I want you to do is share anything that we haven't touched on today that you want the listening audience to know.
Oh gosh, that's a big one. That there is no shame in seeking therapy. There is no shame in paying attention to yourself, taking care of yourself, and reaching out for what you need. There's a lot of like hashtag type of words like boundaries and trigger and coping and, all of these that float around in our atmosphere and on TikTok and our Instagram reels and stuff like that. But we don't really know what they mean until we seek help and support by somebody that can help us implement them correctly. So seeking a therapist, a counselor of any kind there's no shame. In fact, I think that should, obviously I'm biased, but I think that should be as normal as getting our hair cut, as going for a checkup. I mean, if you have a sinus infection, you go to the doctor and you get antibiotics. So if you have a panic attack, why don't you go to a therapist? So just really one of my missions is just to make this normal. The fact that we are all so different and so unique and need a team of people should be normal.
Yes.
So, I mean, reach out to us at Be Balanced. Again, if we can't help you for whether it's financial reasons, insurance coverage, or it's just not a good fit for you, we will help you find somebody that can help support you, because there's one thing I believe in. It is a support team of people.
I love that. So folks can find you at BeBalancedCounseling.com, and I'm guessing you're on all the socials as well.
All the socials. I try to be. I think I go through phases on that one, so everybody can watch that happen. But yes, we try to be as active as possible, and reach out in any way, shape, or form. We'll get back to you.
That is perfect. And for anyone that happens to be an attorney that's listening in, Brittany is also contracted by the North Carolina Capital Defender's Office as a mitigation specialist in criminal cases. I find that fascinating.
Thank you.
I hope to read that in your book one day. Some of the things that you've experienced there, as well as all of your college experiences. And also you have been used as an expert witness in multiple criminal cases and child custody arrangements. So for anyone listening that is in that area, please think about Brittany and reach out to her. And again, you can go to her website or her business's website, BeBalancedCounseling.com. And is there anything else that we didn't touch on? Just want to make sure.
I don't think so. I'm happy to come chat with you guys whenever. It's so
That'll
fun.
be great. Thank you. Thank you so much for your time today and being
you.
here. All right, for everyone listening, until next time. We know you enjoyed this podcast today, so join us for the next episode of Greater Conversations. By the way, you can follow us on social media. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and LinkedIn. Be sure to smash that subscribe button. Also, be sure to visit our website at Winston-Salem.com. The views and opinions stated in this podcast are solely those of the contributors and not necessarily those of our sponsors, distributors, or hosting companies. This podcast is copyrighted and cannot be reproduced without expressed written consent of Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. or your toast.